What are the functions of Rajya Sabha? What is the function of Rajya Sabha and how does it act as a revising chamber? So Rajya Sabha as a revising chamber, we need to evaluate the role of the state legislative councils with respect to the state. Are they necessary for effective governance? The functions of the Rajya Sabha and their role as a revising chambers. So here we have to evaluate the role of the state legislative council and are they necessary? Not about the Rajya Sabha, right? Now the introduction. The Rajya Sabha or the Council of the States is the upper house of the Parliament of the India. It plays a crucial role in the federal structure of the Indian democracy, representing the states and the union territories. Now, what are the functions of the Rajya Sabha? We have the legislative functions. The Rajya Sabha shares legislative powers with the Lok Sabha because bills can be introduced in either house except the money bills which are exclusive to the Rajya Sabha. Right. So the Rajya Sabha has legislative powers. It shares the legislative powers with the Lok Sabha. The bills can be introduced in either houses. So we say that bills can be introduced in both the houses except for the money bills. There is an exception to this and this exception is only the money bills which are exclusive to the Lok Sabha. So money bills are exclusive to the Lok Sabha. Revisory function. If it reviews, amends and suggests a modification to the bills passed by the Lok Sabha. We have a bill and the bill has any amendments or suggestions made by Rajya Sabha. Amendments or suggestions are made by the Rajya Sabha and are passed by the Lok Sabha. This ensures thorough scrutiny and debate on legislative proposals. Federal function. It represents the interest of the states at the national level. It represents a federal right, federalism because it is the council of the states. It is the council of states, therefore it represents the federal function. It ensures a balance between the union and the states. Electoral function. Rajya Sabha participates in the election of the president and the vice president of the India. So as far as now we have seen core functions, the legislative functions. It has the capacity to pass bills introduce bills in introduce bills except the money bill. Revisory function is we have seen here, right? What is its revising chambers? If there are any bills made by the Lok Sabha except the money bills, they can review it, amend it, and suggest modifications to the bills, right? This ensures there is a thorough scrutiny, there is a great scrutiny and debate on legislative proposals. Federal functions. It represents the interest of the states at the national level. States are represented at the national level, ensuring the balance between the union and the states. Then it also has just the electoral functions. Rajya Sabha participates in the election of the president. Now it has participated in the election of the president, and then we have the vice president of the India. So it has participated in the president, and then we have the vice president of India. It's a constituent function. It shares the power with the Lok Sabha to amend the constitution under the. It also can amend the constitution under the Article 368. Therefore, we say it as a constituent function. So what is the constituent function? It shares the power with the Lok Sabha to amend the constitution. It can amend the constitution under Article 368. Deliberative function. The Rajya Sabha is a forum for discussing and debating important national issues and policies. Role as the revising chamber. Therefore, it has a detailed scrutiny. Rajya Sabha reviews every bill which is passed by the Lok Sabha. So when a bill is passed by the Lok Sabha, that bill is reviewed. Right, and it provides an opportunity for the detailed scrutiny and debate. Right, now expert opinion, it includes members in various fields contributing to informed and comprehensive decisions. Therefore we get expert opinion because there are members who are included in various fields. Checks and balances. By reviewing and suggesting the amendments, Rajya Sabha act as a check on the hasty legislation of the Lok Sabha. Legislative delays. It can delay the non-money bill up to 6 months, ensuring thorough considerations. So legislative delays is non-money bill are delayed up to 6 months, whereas in the state legislative council, the non-money bill are delayed up to 4 months. Now the relevant articles is Article 80 is the composition of the Rajya Sabha. Article 107 is provisions relating to introduction and passage of the bills. 108 is a joint sitting. So 108 means like an emergency. So this emergency is for joint sitting. Right. Article 80 first it mentions the composition of the Rajya Sabha. Article 107 is the provisions relating to the introduction and passage of the bills. Article 108 is related to the joint sitting. We have joint sitting, right? It is related to Article 108. We also have a case over here, Kuldip Nair versus Union of India 2006. So we have the Kuldip Nair versus Union of India 2006. The Supreme Court upheld the constitutionality of Representatives of the People Act 2003, emphasizing the role of Rajya Sabha in representing the states. The Rajya Sabha plays a vital role in the Indian parliamentary system by providing a platform for revising and scrutinizing the legislation, representing state interests, and ensuring a balance of power between the union and the states. Now, we have to look into state legislative councils or Vidhan Parishads. State legislative councils or the Vidhan Parishads are the upper houses in the bicameral legislation of some Indian states. Now, their functions is legislative review. Similar to Rajya Sabha, they review and suggest amendments to bills passed by the state legislative assemblies Vidhan Sabha. Deliberative role. They serve as forums for discussing the state policies and issues, contributing to informed decision making. Electoral function. They participate in the election of the president and members of the state Rajya Sabha. Expert input. They include members with various expertise in various fields, providing a valuable insight. Same points as Rajya Sabha. What is the advantages? Expertise is an advantage, review mechanism, and representation of diverse social groups and interests. But what are the disadvantages? The cost. Maintaining two houses can financially burdensome some states. Redundancy. Critics argue that often duplicate the functions of legislative assembly without adding any significant value. Political maneuvering. They can be used for political patronage and to accommodate defeated politicians is what we call it as a political maneuvering is very important. Maneuvering is a very important point, and then we have another important point is redundancy is there is a delay because there is a duplication the functions of the legislative assembly, it is not adding any significant value. So we have redundancy and then we have the political maneuvering. This used for political patronage and to accommodate the defeated politicians. Now we have relevant articles is 169 is provision related to the creation and abolition of the state legislative council. So we have article is 169. Article 169 is we are going with the creation or we are going with the abolition. So creation or abolition of the state legislative councils. Article 169 is nothing but the creation or abolition of the state legislative councils. Article 171 is composition of the state legislative councils and the state of Bihar versus Val Mukund Shah. Supreme Court discussed the role and the importance of the legislative councils. State legislative councils can enhance the legislative process by providing the expert input and acting as a revisory body. However, their necessity depends on specific needs and circumstances of each state, balancing their benefits against the cost and potential redundancies. How the powers and the functions of the Lok Sabha and Vidhan Sabha? How do the powers and the functions of the Lok Sabha and Vidhan Sabha compare? Lok Sabha is the house of the people and Vidhan Sabha is the legislative assembly or lower houses of the parliament of the India and the state legislatures. They play a crucial role in legislative process. They have legislative power and also have the financial powers. Legislative power of the Lok Sabha is the primary legislative body at the national level, can introduce and pass bills including the money bills. Financial power, it has a significant control over the finances as money bills can be introduced in Lok Sabha and it requires the approval. Now we have the executive control. It exercises the control over the executive through motions of confidence and questioning of the ministers. Right. So the ministers are responsible to the Council of Ministers are responsible to the Parliament in general and Lok Sabha in particular. Therefore, we can say that executive control is one of the powers of Lok Sabha. The first is they are legislating, and then the second is they also have the financial powers, right? They legislate, they have financial powers, they have executive powers, they have electoral functions as well. Now, to think very broadly, they have electoral functions in the sense that they elect the president and vice president of India. Also, they have the amendment powers. In the amendment powers, it shares the power to amend the constitution with the Rajya Sabha. So this is what we have the amendment powers. They share the powers to amend the constitution even with the Rajya Sabha. Now what all the powers? Legislative powers, financial powers with respect to the money bills. Then they have the executive powers, control over the Council of Ministers. Electoral functions is participates in the election of the president and vice president. Amendment to the constitution is it shares the power to amend the constitution in the Rajya Sabha. Vidhan Sabha, legislative power. It is a primary legislative body at the state level and it has the power to pass the bills. Financial powers, executive powers with respect to the no confidence motions and questioning of the state ministers, right? So it exercises the control over the state executive through no confidence motions and questioning of the state ministers. Electoral functions, it participates in the election of the Rajya Sabha members from the state. Amendment to the amendment of the state constitution. In the states with their own constituencies, example Jammu and Kashmir, before its recognition, the Vidhan Sabha can amend the state constitution. This point is not needed because Jammu and Kashmir had a separate constitution and the Vidhan Sabha had the power to amend that constitution and it is not relevant as of now. Similarities, both the houses play a crucial role in legislation, financial control and executive oversight at their respective levels. Both are directly elected by the people and reflect the democratic will of the electorate. What is the differences? Now the scope. The Lok Sabha deals with the national issues, whereas the Vidhan Sabha deals with the state-specific matters. Right? The Lok Sabha is having the national issues, whereas the Vidhan Sabha it focuses on the state-specific matters. Financial powers. While both control the finances, both are used for controlling the finances. The Lok Sabha's approval is required for the national money bills, whereas Vidhan Sabha handles the state money bills. Legislative domains. Lok Sabha legislates on subjects of union list and concurrent list. Vidhan Sabha legislates on state list. It can also legislate in the sorry, it can also legislate in state list under the emergency and 249 is emergency and then we have 250 national interest and emergency. 254 is emergency. This is national interest and then we have the emergency during the emergency. Relevant articles is Article 110 is related to the money bills, powers, privileges and immunities of the state legislature. Composition of Lok Sabha is Article 81 is very important over here. So Article 81 is nothing but the composition of Lok Sabha. Article 194 is the powers, privileges and immunities of the state legislature and 110 is money bills in the context of the Lok Sabha. S.R. Bommai versus Union of India, 1994. The Supreme Court discussed the role of the state legislatures in the context of federalism and president's rule. Lok Sabha and the Vidhan Sabha are fundamental components of the India's legislative framework with distinct yet complementary roles at the national and a state level.